Welcome, pudding people, to another episode of Everybody Loves Pudding. I am your host, Ken Seymour, the man of tapioca, with your other host, Richard Geiger, the man of butterscotch.
Butterscotch, yo.
That's right. Today we have our friend Delvin Cox with us, and we are going to do a movie review of Shazam. How you doing, Delvin?
As the great Miles Morales would say, hey.
Keep it simple. I like it. But so, to remind people, because it's been a little while since we've done a movie review, at least a week.
Yes.
We use a very
3 weeks.
We use a very scientific, but not really, method of putting this together, mainly just so that we have a very clear idea of what movies we like better than anything else, or at least in comparison to each other. So, in the end, our numeric system will come up with a total that can be up to 100 points or as little as 0. We will have subcategories where we'll talk about things in specific and what we liked and what we didn't. We'll go over the cast, which will be worth 20 points. We will go over the director, which will be worth 20 points. Mm-hmm. We will go over costuming and props, which will be worth 10 points. We'll go over location, which is worth 10. Cinematography and CGI and that sort of stuff, which is worth 20. We've got plot and writing, the meat at 20 points, and then we'll have an option for some bonus points just for things that we like, or we can even potentially take points away, though we usually don't do that in the bonus points
Usually
section.
don't, but the bonus points is where I can fudge the numbers to get it to the appropriate score that I want it to have. So that's how that one works.
That's right. So, did you generally, we're going to start with a spoiler-free section. Delvin, did you generally enjoy the movie?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was very entertaining, and I don't want to get too much into it, but it's one of the better DC movies. I'll say that much.
I would agree.
Now, do you think it was better just as a movie? Better as in it was true to the actual source material, or both?
Both. Also, I think that the movie itself is very entertaining, and two, most of the DC movies, for the most part, plots are very jumbled up, to say the least. Either overcomplicated or none whatsoever.
That's pretty fair.
At least does have a decent story to it.
I thought so too. And it's very bright. A lot of DC gets kind of mired in this attempt to be dark and gritty, and I don't think it has been working all that well over the last several movies, with the exception of Aquaman. Aquaman wasn't really dark and gritty, but...
yes, the last two have been, well, this one included, have been a lot more brighter and colorful and fun. Let's call a spade, fun.
Yeah, that's my...
Yeah, so Aquaman had colors and it had humor in it too, so not forced humor.
No.
And I feel like this kind of went in that same direction too. Didn't take itself too seriously, but kind of kept a proper tone. I feel like
absolutely. So generally, we're all basically in the same boat. Now we're going to see exactly how much we think that we liked it. Let's
throw out there real quick too. One thing we generally talk about is, would you? If you're recommending this to other folks out there, would you tell them, hey, go watch this movie? You know what? Wait till it comes out, or say like, man, this was good, but I also recommend that you buy it when it comes out. Like, what's your direction you tell people to spend their $12 on this?
True.
See, this is the thing. If this came out in a time when there was no movies, I'd definitely say, go watch it in the movie theaters, because it's a good movie. But the problem is with this, and I think DC probably should have thought about this a little bit, is it's so close to two other superhero movies.
Yeah.
Shazam, Hellboy, and Endgame.
They probably didn't have to worry about Hellboy too much, but Endgame butting up against... You want to compete against the Marvel movies, but because of which particular movie this is, maybe not the best timing.
This is the one to stay as far away from as possible.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you think about it, though, they kind of stuffed it right in between two Marvel movies. One that already made $1 billion, and another one that will make well over $1 billion. So, if they wanted to release it in the spring, I guess this was the time to do it.
Probably, but I would have waited. Make it because everybody. Yeah, exactly. Everybody's going to be emotionally exhausted from the end of Infinity War. Give it like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then release it afterwards. Because there's nothing Marvel after that, except for Spider-Man will eventually be coming out.
June, July, something like that.
But they could compete against Spider-Man pretty easy.
Spider-Man and X-Men, I think, is August.
Yeah, but nobody pays attention to that one.
Yeah, no, it's not
that would
too.
have been the perfect time to release it, like around that time.
Yep.
Because people would look more forward to Shazam than they would X-Men, especially with everybody knowing that this universe of X-Men is probably not going to be around after this movie.
Yeah. Well, for me, I am of the opinion that this was worth seeing in the theaters. I think it's one that I would end up suggesting to go see in the theaters to the people that I know.
If you want to do, whoa, that got really loud there, huh? If you want to do the movie theater, like if you want to do the superhero movies, I would say this one's worth it to go watch it in the theater. But if you're like the casual superhero movie person, just wait on this one. I guess here's my thought on this. So like my wife, who watches some of the movies, we were gonna go watch this movie, and then she kind of changed her mind. She's like, "Yeah, I don't really actually want to watch this movie." I was like, "Okay." And after watching it, I kind of thought, I was like, "Well, you actually would have enjoyed this movie." So I don't know. I think it's a pretty good mixed bag.
Yeah. All right. So now that we are past that point, I completely forgot about that little tidbit. Like I said, it's been at least a week since we've tried to do it. So now we'll get into completely deconstructing everything and overanalyzing and kind of going into that. So, all right, we always start at the beginning, starting with the cast. So, what did you think about the cast, Delvin? Pretty solid, right?
Yeah, I thought the cast was actually really good, especially everything considering that for those who know the history of it or who doesn't know the history of it, this movie has been in production for quite some time.
Yeah.
Like originally, this wasn't supposed to be the movie that was supposed to come out. Originally, it was supposed to be Black Adam, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I seem to remember hearing that as well, and I guess we'll just have to just be happy with the little bit of a tidbit that we get of Black Adam in the story description. Yeah.
You got a sneaky, a subtle, very subtle one with no hint of names, none of that stuff.
Just for comic book fans.
I wanted to mention this to you guys. I don't know if you saw this or not, but Dwayne Johnson is still in the credits as an executive producer of the movie.
Oh, really? I missed that.
Yeah, he's in the credits.
Huh. Well, I feel like the talk of him doing part of this has never been dead. Like, it's always been 100% active, and they're going to do it. Like, well, I guess they said that also about a Gambit movie for the longest time, too. So that's not always the best, the most positive thing. But I feel like they're absolutely going to do a Black Adam.
Well, and it could just be a holdover.
Standalone.
Could be a holdover, too. I mean, like you said, it's been in production for a long time, and it may just be one of those things in the contractual side of things that my name's not coming off of this. I've spent too much time and effort into it. It better be in the credits.
But even with that, the movie, the cast is actually pretty good.
It is.
It is very close to the comic book counterparts, which I was actually surprised by, too.
Yeah. Well, one other thing I noticed, I don't know if you looked at this when you were looking at the cast. It feels to me very much that they did not want to take any chances with this cast. I mean, obviously, whenever you do a movie, you got to have that lead that can carry the film, the surrounding actors that will be able to kind of go along with it. But even all of the kids, these people have experience. You have to start getting pretty deep into the cast before you start hitting some people that haven't been in very much. They have all got credits. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well,
and there's a couple surprises in the cast too that I didn't expect that was in the movie. I don't want to give away spoilers on that, but
this is the spoiler. This is the spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler.
Spoil it away. They
okay, so screw it. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
I was shocked to see Megan Good in the movie.
Yeah.
In that one scene when the whole cast essentially just changed, I was like, whoa, I didn't expect that at all. It was a cool thing, and that cast did good.
Well, and so like DJ Catrona, for example, he was supposed to be, was he Superman or Batman? I can't remember which one he was supposed to be in the Frank Miller Justice League movie years ago that they actually were basically going to do, and then it just stopped all of a sudden.
Which I'm kind of disappointed because I think he could have pulled it off.
Is that the one that was supposed to have Armie Hammer as Batman?
Yes.
And Common as Green Lantern?
Oh, was he supposed to be that? I missed that part.
Yeah, it had Green Lantern, and I think it even had John Johns in it too. So it would have been interesting to see what they would have done with the Martian Manhunter character. I don't watch the TV show. I don't watch any of the WB shows, but I think the Manhunter character is just weirdly done in the Supergirl.
I liked it.
It's good, but they've changed
A lot
about that character.
Yeah.
It works for that show, but
well, I mean, and to be fair, John Johns is has got a lot of history and a lot, like you said, there's some strange stuff that just would not translate to TV.
Not to TV.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we start, obviously, Zachary Levi in the lead. He has a pedigreed history of doing comedy, of being able to put smiles on people's faces, which this seems to be perfectly suited to. The fact that he was able to get into some ridiculous shape on top of everything, I was very impressed at. More effort than I think I would have ever wanted to put into it. But what did you think about his ability to kind of give that feeling of youthful exuberance that he really was a kid, that translation of big into the superhero mentality?
You know, when I first heard that he was getting the role, I thought that's almost perfect because he has that type of personality. There was only two people I thought of that could play the role that good, and it was him and John Cena, believe it or not.
Huh. Yeah, that could work. John Cena
has that look of Shazam. And he kind of has that kind of childlike thing about him where he could, like a big kid almost.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Zachary Levi did a great job portraying how you would think Shazam would be.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too. John Cena would be a pretty good.
I don't know if they put John Cena in it though, then nobody would see him. Okay, it's not a great joke, but it was an easy one. That's all I've got. So
I get it though.
Yeah,
I don't. I get it.
All right. So all right. What about Mark Strong as Sivana? I love Mark Strong in pretty much anything. I mean, and he's already got comic book cred to begin. Well, let me rephrase that. He's got comic book experience. It wasn't his fault. I thought he was a fine Sinestro.
Oh, he was a great Sinestro.
It wasn't his fault. The movie wasn't all that great. But he was also in Kick-Ass.
What was he in Kick-Ass? Oh yeah. I was sorry. I'm thinking of a different movie.
Yeah. He's got plenty of that stuff. Did you read the Captain Marvel comics at all, Delvin, before this?
A little bit. I read mostly the old Captain Marvel comics and a little bit of the New 52.
Yeah.
So I knew about the Marvel Kids and things like that.
Well, then you're familiar with the original conceptual art that goes along with Sivana, being this little kind of small, egg-headed, impossible to take serious villain.
Yeah, I look too. Like I haven't read the comics, but I try to do, if I'm watching these movies and I'm not familiar with the characters, it's kind of easy. You can just go Google and then read all the history of the stuff and see images of what their characters has been portrayed in over the course of the years. And I mean, I think
I think the changes they made were right.
Were fine, yes.
And it's like the Spider-Man 2 Dr. Octopus shift, making something that was potentially laughable on the page into something that you could take serious on the screen.
Well, I feel like a lot of his bad guys
It felt like they gave him a new 52, like facelift almost.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Now, that's not to be confused with saying that the new 52 is good.
Yeah, that is correct.
And looking at the history of Captain Marvel's bad guys, it's not like his bad guys are really just kind of intriguing. They're kind of goofy bad guys. One of which we'll mention here in a little bit. I feel like too.
So Asher Angel, he did a great job. I mean, got to be able to have a kid that you can relate to, kind of see yourself through a little bit. I think he did pretty decently with that. I mean, he's got some experience in Andy Mack. The show Andy Mack, he's been in for quite some time, so it's just kind of, I think this wasn't exactly new territory, but I think he did really well with it.
He did.
You've got Jack Dylan Grazer as Freddy, another kid. Now, he was in the movie It, and will of course be in the sequel to that particular one. As well as,
I thought he was excellent.
Oh yeah, he was my favorite.
He was one of the highlights of the film.
Yep. So, how hard is it to kind of be able to? You have to be. I don't want to use the word pitiable, but almost pitiable, but also the comic relief in a non-pitiable fashion simultaneously. That's rough.
It was so many things that he did right in terms of like the way he played it was he didn't want to be pitied.
Yeah.
He was like, no, I'm the cool kid. You guys don't know what you're talking about. You guys are just not in the know, almost. And it was he was a cool character. He not only he provide comic relief, but it was that one moment in the movie where he was like, he was talking to Billy like, you have it all and you're squandering it away. And he's like, and Billy snaps back at him and says, you just want these powers. He said, heck yeah, I want these powers.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to have those powers. I'm not going to lie about that. And he's told him straight up.
Yeah.
I'm watching you squander this away. And if I had those powers, I wouldn't be doing what you're doing right now.
He did fantastic. I'm looking forward to. There's no way there's not going to be a sequel. I'm kind of curious what they're going to do as they grow.
Oh, as the kids get older. Yeah.
It was the ending scenes were fantastic in terms of like it lets you know this is what we're building to, and they give you kind of a sneak peek of it.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was really cool.
That was well done, and the individuals that they chose to be the adult versions of them in the powers. I mean, you obviously have to have some sort of physical similarity, but they did phenomenally well. The older and younger actors being able to duplicate the same personality
and
mannerisms.
Yeah. And me personally, I was only familiar with the kid Shazam versions because there was an animated movie that had been out recently. I can't remember what it was.
It was.
I
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it was like a more hardcore one. Like people get beat up a lot in it, and there's a little bit of blood. I don't know if anybody get killed in it. I can't remember what it is.
I think I know what you're
It's one of the more recent DC animation movies. It wasn't Flashpoint.
But they were trying to be edgy again.
Yep. And it had had the kids. So I'd seen them once before. Wasn't surprised by them.
Yeah. But you got Adam Brody being the older of the Freddy characters. He was on the OC for like forever. If anybody watched that show, which I never did, or at least I will never admit to. You've got Jimon Han. No,
I was going to say, hey, who's the wizard?
Jaimon Hansu. I looked it up on how to pronounce it since the last time I just absolutely butchered his name and wrote it out phonetically. That's what I knew I was going
Well, we've had to talk about him a few times in some movies.
He was I just realized that. Was he in Captain Marvel as well?
Yes, he was, and Guardians of the Galaxy and Constantine.
But it's interesting that he's in both Captain Marvel and Shazam. So
Yeah.
technically he's in 2 Captain Marvel movies.
Yep,
With
he's
different
really-
characters. I never even thought about that till just now.
and he did. If there was a weakness, I don't want to say it was him because I'm not sure that it was. I think it was how it was written. It was a little hammy. His delivery of the Wizard Shazam, I thought, just a smidgen.
I thought it was too short.
I think that may be what it is. He didn't have time to really develop anything.
It was kind of like, here's the wizard. Here's the powers.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, no real... And you can't really... I just don't think there's enough to deliver a true background on any of that side of it. So I get it, but you're right. It was just kind of a...
No, I have a different problem with it, but we'll get to that in the plot.
Yeah, the plot one's always our big...
Yeah. Our
Hit or
big
miss.
nitpicking area.
Yeah.
So I'll just go over a few names and stop me. Just kind of yell, "Stop! No, we got to talk about this person." Just kind of give props to a few people. You got Faith Herman as Darla, who is in This Is Us. Her older version you already talked about, Megan Good. I thought she looked familiar. She's been in freaking everything.
Yes.
Grace Fulton as Mary. Now, this is a holdover from the director, I think, because she was also in Annabelle, which he directed. So that I think there's the link there. But you've got her older version, Michelle Borth,
Yeah.
Hawaii Five-0.
And some other things I've heard of her before.
Yeah. So I mean, good there. You got Ian Chen, who is Eugene. Fresh Off the Boat's his big show that he's in. You got Ross Butler as the older Eugene. 13 Reasons. He's Reggie in Riverdale. I didn't even know. No clue. Haven't watched the new Riverdale at all. And
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen Riverdale.
What? You neither? Okay, we got to fix that. We'll have a thing. So, who was it? Jovan Armand as Pedro, who's in the middle. You've got, of course, DJ Catrona we talked about, and he's been just in a ton of stuff. Even the parents, got some experience. You got Marta Milan and Cooper Andrews, Walking Dead.
He's in The Walking Dead.
Right?
He is excellent in Walking Dead and in this movie.
Yeah.
He has a certain charm to him that says star.
Yeah. It's hard to, it's not even something you can really quantify. It's every time I see him in something, it's like, oh, I'd like to have a drink with that dude.
Yes.
And he
He's-
keeps
he's
staying alive
so
in The
white.
Walking Dead, too. Well, I guess I haven't seen the last 8 episodes, but...
Well, that's not a spoiler. Yeah. Yeah, he's still kicking it.
Okay, so the last one I'll mention, I tried to save the best for last, at least in my mind. John Glover being in it was fantastic because he's one of my favorites, and I was lucky enough to talk to him in Cleveland here just a little while ago, and such a gentleman, such a fantastic actor, and just a great guy from everything that I've seen. And he did great. I mean, he was just enough of awful for you to...
Does he play awful characters and other things?
lot.
A lot? Okay,
A
because...
lot of things.
But he always has layers. So that's the thing that he kind of talked about in the interviews. He always tries to bring that level of humanity to it so that it's not just like a one-sided character, that there's something to relate to, because that makes it more real.
Mm-hmm.
So anything in particular of any of the people that we listened to, because I just ran through all of them, anybody missed or anything that you want to give a shout out to in that particular casting, Delvin?
I think just the whole cast in general did a great job in terms of being believable.
Yeah. What about you?
So I want to put some negative spin on this.
Okay. All right.
So, honestly, a lot of the kids were great. A lot of the adults were great. Zachary Levi, I had some issues with how he did stuff in this movie.
What?
So, one of the big things was some of, let's call them the posturing, how he would stand or move or walk. Now, I don't know if he was doing that because he was trying to be a kid who would think like, this is how I stand or walk, or, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm fairly certain that's accurate.
But I didn't buy into it. I just bought into it as he doesn't he looks weird doing these things because he's trying to do things naturally and they don't. It's overstated is basically what I'm getting at here on a lot of the things. So just the little things where he'll stand and walk, but he's like
trying to do the power lifter walk.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's.
Question: do you think the suit itself has something to do with that?
Possible.
Because the suit is kind of like a puffy suit, like the Seinfeld shirt.
Yeah.
It's really like puffy and bulky, and they might have didn't need the suit because he was in really good shape.
Yeah, and I thought about that too, and just exactly like having the arms not be down to the side, but like out.
Oh, Mom, I can't put my arms down.
Yeah, actually, there's some prank video people that I've been watching lately, and they'll be at the store and one will say to the other like, like work hard, bro, or something like that, and they automatically have to walk with their hands out like this the whole time, the whole trip through the store. It's pretty funny, but it kind of reminded me of that because it just looked like I said, just how he handled himself just looked cheesy, like overstated, overdone. I'm nitpicking.
Yeah, you are. I don't think I had a problem with that. I see what you're saying, but I think it was right for the part. It's just if you're not thinking about it and just looking at it, it does look weird.
Yeah, and see, but like Mark Strong, it's perfect. Like how his actions and his movements were. Of course, he didn't have a big old puffy suit on either, so that I get.
All right, so total of 20 points that we can do out of this. What do you think, Delvin? How many points out of 20 does the cast get for you?
17.
17 for Delvin. What about Richard?
I was thinking the same thing, actually, 17.
I think I'm going to be a little nicer to the cast on this. I'm going to give it near perfect. I give it a 19, with the only detraction really coming from I don't think that the casting of the bullies was very good. But that's about it.
I can see that.
Yeah. Okay. Good start. Moving on to the director. This is always where we falter somewhat, or maybe falter is the wrong word. Don't have a lot to say, at least for me, because I look at the director, it's like, this is what the director did. All right, next.
Cool, and off to the show.
Off to the show.
Especially if we like the movie, it's like, oh well, the director, he was good at it. But if we didn't like the movie, it's like, well, we like this director. Maybe it was the script. Maybe that's what he had to work with it. Okay, I get it.
The one we got David Sandberg as the director on this one. Are you familiar with his other work, Delvin?
Not really.
Yeah, there's a reason for that. So if you look him up on IMDb, and we do heavy research, as in I looked it up on IMDb.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now.
He's got like 10 credits, and 7 of them are short films. 2 of them are horror films, the ones right before Shazam, I believe, Annabelle being one of them.
I can believe that. You know why I can believe that?
Yeah?
It's one scene in this movie that is jarring. Because it almost doesn't fit the movie because it's jarringly violent. The scene in the office.
Office, yes.
Yeah, definitely. Lights Out is the other horror film.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So he's not got. And this is the hard part. I'm looking for writing. I'm looking for anything else. And this is the thing that I wished IMDb had. I wish it had like stage. It's got to have. I wish I had some more history to go into, because there's got to be some other stuff. There's no way that these studios are just going to go, yeah, this guy, he did 2 things. we'll have him be a director.
We've seen Stranger.
Yeah.
James Gunn basically didn't do much before Guardians.
It just seems so strange that you put this multi-million-dollar endeavor in the hands of somebody like that. That's a huge trust thing.
I think you guys said it in the Captain Marvel episode, how they probably went for a director who wasn't expensive. Because that's probably what it is. Because let's get somebody who's not expensive,
somebody's
not that well known, because we know they can just follow what we want you to do here.
Yep, cheap and a yes man or yes woman.
Now, that being said, obviously, as I've said many times before, and maybe mistakenly, it's the director's job to get the performance out of the actors. Mm-hmm. And seeing that as a reflection of how good all the actors did, I have to think that the director did pretty good with this too, at least by extension. Yeah,
and the director has some influence on how the story is presented or evolved, and I didn't think that the story in this one was like weird. No, it was pretty straightforward. So
I don't know. I'm kind of torn on this, because it felt like it was just there. Like, he didn't do anything to make it better, and he didn't wreck it. Like, let's not get. I don't want to get out of hand with it, but like, for example, J.J. Abrams. Yeah. You can see moments in the movie where he makes the movie better.
Well, that's arguable. But.
Yes. But
depending on what movie you're watching.
Certain directors, you can see where their little touch to it.
That's right. Their stamp.
You didn't really get that. You kind of got like, oh, this is a movie.
It's true. But it may just be a fact that he's had such limited experience. We may have seen the stamp and just not known what it was.
That could be it.
And yeah, that's what I want to look for. I want to see, and the other thing with this too, and compared to other movies of its same stature, the budget for this movie was, okay, when you say $100 million budget, that sounds like a lot of money to me. But a lot of these other movies are getting a lot more than that. So
it's not that much for a superhero film.
For a superhero film, so how do you make that $100 million stretch, right? So
got your salary cap.
Producers got to do stuff with that too, but the director's got to make that money work also. So that's another part of it.
Yeah, and that's pretty much all I got to say about the director. I mean, I think he did good. I have no real qualms that I can directly attribute to him, and I've got nothing really amazing that I could directly attribute either.
Yeah, I'll say that, yeah.
So what do you think, Delvin? Out of 20, are you sticking with your 17, or are you going a little lower on this one?
I'm going to go a little low. I'm going to go 14.
14. All right. Richard?
I was thinking 15 or 16, so I'll go 15. All
right. Excellent. Good start. All right.
Well, what did you do?
Oh, sorry. Yes. I've done all of my scores already, written them down in preparation. I always forget that part. So I'm going to give him a 17. I benefit of the doubt.
The high marks, okay.
Yeah.
Not super high, but
yeah, high enough.
High enough.
Yeah. So, all right, costuming and props. This one's usually pretty easy because you've got most films have just generic costuming for the most part. You need to make a cop look like a cop. You need to make a businessman look like a businessman. I mean, there's not much to it, but there are a handful of costumes and props that become really important, especially in a superhero movie. What did you think about their interpretation of the Captain Marvel heroic garbs?
It looks comic accurate, but it doesn't look that good on screen.
That's exactly what I thought.
It's hard. I think this character is hard to have, like a good-looking modern take on something that's red spandex and gold boots, and like a weirdly shaped white cape So I get it.
Well, it's because it's actually, I don't know if you know this, it's actually a bib that he's just wearing backwards.
Could be.
It's just, I don't know what they could have did to make it look better.
I don't know if there's anything they could have done. No, I mean, and it really stood out too because so much of it was shot in either dark or in kind of neutral tones. So every time you saw that costume, it just popped. It is immediately dead center no matter where it is. You're looking right at it.
And the lightning bolt lit up. I don't know if that was...
I liked that.
You like that?
That was the one part of the costume I really enjoyed.
It kind of felt like if you was to put Shazam in the DC TV universe, that's how the costume would look.
Yeah,
that's a good way of putting it.
Oh, yes.
I think they did a good job on Savannah because, again, you can't have a very short person in a white lab coat running around.
Yes.
So the costuming choice on him, I thought, was particularly good. What about the Wizard Shazam?
It was good. It was a wizard.
Well, so I not knowing enough about the comic, the wizard didn't look like that, did he?
Well, there's more than one version of the wizard, but generally speaking, no. Wizard looked like Gandalf or any other wizard that you would kind of expect.
That's what I thought.
An old white dude with a big long beard, bald. That's pretty much what you expect. So I understand why they changed it.
And they explained it.
Yeah. And I was, for the most part, okay with it. But it just looks stupid. His costume looks stupid. I'm sorry. He looked like a hobo that found one of Captain Marvel's outfits. And it just looked terrible. And then when you mixed it with that staff, the staff was awful. I mean, it's just... what is it supposed to be? What are we supposed to be thinking about that? I didn't get it. It just was. It was not good.
What other props were there? A Ferris wheel.
The
Batarang. The Batarang,
Mm-hmm.
which is too big.
Actually, I think that's the actual one you
Yeah.
can buy off Amazon.
Yep.
You actually go buy that off Amazon. They literally just bought the one off Amazon and put it in the movie.
I was wondering if that was what it was. That's what it looked like to me. It's like, nah, that can't be. They must have custom made that. The Superman bullet.
The not cane, but the lay arm walker.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I've just yeah.
it was mostly
The
pretty
school.
standard stuff. There wasn't a lot that was special. That was an actual practical item. I mean, you of course had the eye, but that really wasn't. It was CGI for the most part.
Yeah.
And that goes. I mean, really, there wasn't a lot that they were trying to do. It was mostly just those costumes.
A magic 8-ball.
Yeah, the Magic 8 Ball. I kind of like that. That as a small thing, that was fun.
Yeah.
Gateway.
Yeah. So I mean, nothing for the most part. It was solid for the most part. The only issues that I think we had in terms of that sort of costuming and props is, like you're saying, that the costumes are super bright. And like I said, I hated the Wizard Shazam costume and staff, but otherwise I was pretty much good with it. Anything else that you thought was worth mentioning, Delvin?
Not in terms of costumes, no.
No. Okay. This one's a pretty easy one usually, too.
Yeah.
So out of 10, what do you think, man?
I'll say 6.
6? Seems
I
fair.
think I'm being generous when I say 6.
What about you?
7.
7? All right. I'm probably going with 7 too.
Now you are.
Yes, I changed something because I realized I put something into props that was actually location.
Oh, okay. That's fair enough.
All right, so we're going into location next. They hopped around a little bit in this film, so that was kind of nice. What did you think? What was the biggest thing that kind of stood out to you in terms of the choices that they made, either thematically or whatever?
I thought it felt like Spider-Man Light. In terms of how the city is, because, in the Spider-Man movies, usually the city plays a big part of the movie.
Yeah.
In terms of how, hey, Spider-Man, and stuff like that. This movie did a little bit of that. I wish that it did more of it, honestly.
Well, your typical movies, I feel like the Avengers, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, it's all basically New York or some iteration thereof. And this was obviously it overstated in the movie to an extent, Philadelphia, which is weird. You don't think of that as your typical superhero location, and they played that part, with the Rocky stuff, things like that. So that was fine, cheesy, but
I think there's a reason for it. So, what's the whole message of the movie? I could be reading too much into this, but what's the whole message of the movie? Family, right?
That's one of the big messages.
And that's
family, small beginnings becoming great. Beginnings and achieving a goal in terms of how with growth.
Right.
You can honestly say there was two characters who were kids. One was told they were a failure. Well, actually, both were told they weren't unwanted kids.
Yeah.
And both of them found their paths, one good, one bad, and became better or worse for it.
So here's where I'm going with this. I mean, most of the focus on the film tends to be between Freddie and Billy, right? So what is the moniker of Philadelphia?
Brotherly love.
Brotherly love. I think that's the whole reason.
That could play a part into it. I think so. That plays a part into it.
Okay. I mean, they discover at the end he's got to use his heart.
That's right. Give that Care Bear stare to the back.
Gosh. So it was nice in that aspect to see something else.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it's always been the same thing.
They had some great views. I thought the Rock of Eternity was done very, very well.
Yes.
With all the going down to the other areas where there was multiple ways to walk or multiple doorways kind of all over the spot. So you didn't get to see a lot of that, but enough.
A taste.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that. The school's a school. There's really nothing to be said about the school. Most of it's just kind of standard. What about the house that they lived in?
I mean, is that a prop or is that a location?
It's a location.
It felt like a house.
Yeah.
I thought it was...
It didn't feel like a set.
Yeah. That was kind of the impression that I got. It felt like it was real. It felt like it was falling apart. They did a good job of highlighting how it was not in the best of shape in several ways. I mean, the obvious step that needed to be fixed, but you could look around, the paint was peeling and there was cracked plaster and stuff was obviously well used and not in great condition. Yeah. So having that be there, I mean, so often in a movie you get that be the focus. Oh, we just don't have much money and it's hard to make ends meet. They never say any of that. Never happens. But the set does it for you, which I thought was really good.
That, and then I guess the thing that I noticed when they went to pick Billy up was the van.
Yeah.
So you kind of got that idea from that, is that their focus was just on making sure that the kids had a home, right?
Yeah. I like that. Again, location usually doesn't have a whole lot to it. Was there anything else that jumped out for you?
I mean, I guess there was some flying around and some cityscapes and bashing into a couple buildings and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I did love the bit with not being able to hear the monologue at the end. That was fantastic.
That was great. That was excellent. That was probably one of my favorite parts of this movie because it just turned every kind of superhero trope right on his head.
Yeah. It was good. It was clever.
Although I did get flashes of Matrix Revolutions a little bit in that scene. Just a smidge.
Yeah.
It was probably the fact that he was wearing a coat while flying, and it's like, oh, look, he's Neo. So, all right. So, what about you, Delvin? Anything you final touches?
Location?
Yeah.
Not really. I thought it was a
Pretty
decent
easy.
location for a movie. I thought it was different. I like the fact that it was different. Like I said, I like the fact that it was kind of like Spider-Man light.
Yeah.
I wish that it went more into seeing the city and more into interacting with people. But it was good.
Yeah.
And the little play on, like he got this power, and like what's the first thing he went to do?
Buy beer.
Buy beer, right? So he went to a convenience store, and then he went to the strip club. But then it got played later on too, like because you got to focus on being somewhere else, and that's where they end up being. So that was pretty funny.
Well, my wife, who went to see it with me, asked me about that, and it's like, well, if I was thinking of a place where I felt safe. Okay, no,
Yeah.
I have no good reason where that would be, where I would appear, but I thought that was kind of fantastic. All right, so what do you think, Delvin? Out of 10, what do you give that, Matt?
7.
7. Excellent.
I think 7 is fair.
7. Well, I will give it an 8 just because I liked the Rock of Eternity quite a lot.
Okay.
Well, it was the statues that I put into the props, but it's not really props. I really like the statues a lot, and that's actually part of the set.
Okay.
Now this is where we usually get into the nitpicky. The first thing is the cinematography, and we talked a little bit. There's bleed over on location from how the shots were done and everything, but this is also where the CGI comes into play and everything. How do you think they did in blending the CGI and everything into the main movie?
From what you told me earlier about the director being a horror film director, he directed like 2 horror films, you can tell that with the gargoyles.
Yeah.
So
Big time.
I guess my thought is the sins, the presentation of them was garbage.
Yeah.
Awful. Just awful. The clouds of smoke was fine, but when they're actually in their solid form, just bad. Just really bad. Like that stood out to me as a really bad spot. And then their voices. That's not
Coming to get you, Billy.
Yeah. I was just totally thinking Claw from Inspector Gadget was.
Now,
Yeah.
well, that goes in the plot, but they really don't explain the sins at all.
No, they really don't.
And it just but the presentation of I thought the CGI was really bad on those. And some of the scenes where they are flying and fighting, not necessarily when it shows him from a distance getting slammed into a building. Like those were actually fine, but the ones where they were flying were they just seemed really off.
A little bit.
Like they had the budget to do all these other things, and they kind of like, well, we forgot we've got to do these things. Oh gosh, well, do these sins.
This'll do.
Yeah, just to get the sins in there and do all that. And so there's some really weak spots in that stuff. Now, like the lightning stuff, that was fine.
Great.
That was cool. I didn't see a problem with that. It was just the model, how they moved, how the mouths moved on the sins. Like it was just bad.
Well, and truthfully, you didn't have much trouble with the gas. I actually kind of did a little bit, and it didn't hit me the first time I watched it. I actually saw it twice, but
Fair enough.
didn't hit me the first time I watched it. But I was looking for it the second time. Just the sheer number of times they do the gas is coming out of him and they're turning into monsters. They do it like 100 times over and over and over again. It's so played out by the end of the movie, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's really cool the first time, and that's kind of cool. And depreciating returns by the credits, just make them do something. If the big twist is this one has claws. Really? That's it? Okay.
Yeah. That's I see that point too. Like they look mean and creepy, and one bit one guy's head off. Cool. Like, yeah. They have red eyes. Oh, they have red eyes. That's important.
Yeah. What about you, Matt?
Like I said, they weren't. I didn't find them that bad, but I get exactly what you're saying. They didn't look great.
Mm-hmm.
They looked more like something from a horror film than they did like a superhero film.
Yeah.
So they almost felt out of place at times. Like I keep going back to that scene in the office. Where it just straight turns to a horror film. Well,
and I feel like there was also like a jump scare in there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to say it was almost a homage to Aliens. When a guy, I think it was the guy's hand comes up on the screen.
Yeah, I could see that. And of course, when they slam against the clouded glass. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was sitting there, and this is me being overanalyzing things. I went to the movie that started at 9:40, and there was like a gigantic family with, like 6-year-olds and 10-year-olds back there. I was like,
"Oops."
I mean, it's still presented as a family movie, but these were some scenes where I was like, well, you know what? I don't know how good my 8-year-old would take this particular scene right here at 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
So, but that's
it felt out of place in the movie.
Yes,
a little bit. The breaking of the staff, that seemed a little weak at the end. This is a mighty magical staff. Here, have some sparkly glitter as it breaks. Okay, I mean, it's just some very odd choices. But there were some good things, too, or even mixed bags. When Zachary Levi's Shazam flies at the one bad guy and it turns to gas in the middle just to catch him and then smack him. That kind of slow-mo is really cool at first, and then it's like it turns into a Bugs Bunny cartoon when it gets slammed to the ground.
Yeah. Gosh, what else was there? So the little opening, the descriptive sequence with the wizard and Billy, telling him the history of some of the things. Like, I feel like you saw that in Blade in, like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
It just seemed like it was weak.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what else were they going to do on that one, though? Flashback?
Yeah, I get the not doing the flashback and just having the little magical golden dust flying around them presenting. I get that. It just it wasn't impressive.
Yeah.
I'm nitpicking on that one.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the whole thing that we're doing here, right? It's just nitpicking.
I'll give him credit for in the subway when the subway turns to the cave.
That was solid.
That was solid. It was scenes like that where they were pretty solid. That actually were pretty decently done. I think when you look at how much this movie was made for, there are clearly points in this movie where you can say, okay, this is how it was made for that point. This is where they kind of cut money.
The early car impact was done well.
Yeah, that was kind of like a surprise.
Yeah. I mean, all in all, it was pretty good. There were just a couple. I think the reason it stands out, this is another of those instances where the movie is so good that when it makes a mistake, it really shows out. And it just kind of becomes almost glaring because everything else is so shiny. It's just that one little part. I got that one bit of dead skin that I just have to scratch and get off there. You can't help it.
I was thinking of one other kind of jump scary, horror-y part when they're in the office and the door's glowing and the scientist lady smacks the door and then she starts to her face melts and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. The effects on that was good.
The effects on that one was good.
Yeah.
But
a little harsh for a kids movie, maybe.
Depending how you're presenting.
Depending.
I don't know.
Although her personality was such that I was kind of glad she died.
Yeah, I did. It was like, yeah, she wasn't. Yeah.
Hate to see you go. All right, so what do you think, Delvin? Cinematography out of 20.
14.
14. Excellent. And Richard?
Man, those sins were really bad. And the flying scenes were really bad. I'm going to have to go with like a 13.
13.
Sure. Yeah.
I had, like I said, I didn't think the sins were all that original, but I didn't have that big a problem with them except for the repetitive use of the misting and a couple of the other things that I mentioned. I thought it was mostly more forgivable. I'm going to give it a 15 out of 20.
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough.
Now for the really...
14, 15.
Do what?
13, 14, 15.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So this is the last chance. This is where you can really nitpick some stuff. Plot and writing. This is where we can point out any massive plot holes that we think were there, or any weaknesses, or anything that we thought was particularly excellent. We'll start again with our esteemed guest, Mr. Cox.
I will say this about this movie. The fact that there are so many plot holes and things that are kind of out of place and that the movie's still really enjoyable is a testament to how good this movie is.
Yeah.
Because there are huge plot holes. The fact that the sins, you can't even tell which sin is what until the end and you're still confused. It's never really explained, and they're like, oh, that one must be greed because he has a mouth on his stomach. And who was the other one? Oh,
The one that...
he's envy. And you find out like at the dead end, it's so many like with that kind of bothers me. Like why this hasn't been explained though? Who's what do they do, or what's their powers, or how it works?
Well, yeah,
And also the movie starts off with a bang that just goes very slow.
yeah. Well, to your point specifically, I mean, I could tell which one was lust. That one was pretty easy. A couple of other ones, they tried to kind of thematically go, but wouldn't sloth like not do anything? I just sit there. That's what I wanted to see because it's the deadly sins. We're all going to kill you in some way, and the other one's just kind of, I'll watch some TV.
Yeah, I don't want to... I'll be over here, guys. Wait, what's the one where you eat a lot? Gluttony.
Yeah, that was the big belly one.
The big belly one? Yeah, I think of that one.
Mouth on his stomach, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That had to be that. So it's if you have to try that hard, that's a problem. But
Yeah. Well, but I guess they were important to the story in a sense. Some of it, there was all these things that I feel like that were introduced in this movie that were important, but not important. They were building blocks, but not big building blocks. There was just I don't know, weird things.
yeah, I liked the character development. This is one of those instances. I'm huge on character development in anything, and it's usually really hard to have character development in a movie. You just don't have enough time. And generally the only hope that you've got is maybe the main character, possibly, maybe one of the side characters, possibly can get some character development. But I thought they did a pretty good job character development in several individuals. I mean, even to a certain extent, Savannah had character development.
Yeah, and you got his motivation.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, about all the development you really need, in a sense.
Yeah.
And did you think that his dad was dead?
I did.
Yeah.
I did, and then when I saw him alive, I was like, "Oh, this is bullcrap."
Yeah.
Why is he alive?
Yeah.
I would have rather seen that scene play out with the brother being in charge of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that...
Seeing the father still there, and no.
And in excellent condition. Just didn't have legs that worked. Because he was laying there on the road in blood and all smashed up. I mean, that's... I mean, I guess that's still plot.
I'm sure it was intentionally ambiguous, so that you could be surprised again when you saw him later.
And also, I found it weird that his brother and his dad were just flat out jerks. They don't really explain why they're jerks to him.
Yeah.
Why they treat him the way they treat him.
Yeah.
Or they were like overly jerk offs to him. It wasn't like they were like, you're annoying, kid, get out of the way. They were like brutal.
Like Lewis Carroll level of jerkiness.
Yeah, you're right. There was no. They hate him. Done. Good enough. And then, what was I going to say? So, the story of him getting lost and then looking for mom and then finally finding mom.
I liked that.
I like that a lot.
So that kind of led into why the family that he had been avoiding the whole time actually meant so much to him at the end. Yeah. So like that part, that whole progression, I got. So that was another kind of sideline thing to it too.
I just want to add to that. I like the fact that they did something that I don't see in movies ever. They made the mom a complete jerk. No bare bones about it. This character was hurt. The mom was not likable. They were like, "No, I saw you. I just didn't want to get you."
Yeah, I don't know if I go so far as saying jerk, but yeah, not likable. Just because I know they did a good job of hinting at an abusive relationship.
Yes.
So I thought there was some nuance there that they were able to sneak in. Being able to sneak in the unreliable narrator was always fun for me. So being able to see the memories through Billy's eyes and then seeing it through her eyes being completely the same but different, I thought was really good.
And they didn't really, when you saw that sequence, you didn't know that she was 17 at the time. They didn't present that at all. That was only discovered later on. I mean, how are you going to present that early on anyway?
That's why everybody should wear badges with their age on it.
Mm-hmm.
But even so, she was not a good person.
No, she had problems.
When he comes to the door, he's like, "Yeah, I'm your son. Shh, he might hear you. Like, don't say it too loud." And then she's like, "Oh no, I saw you. I found you. I saw where you was at. I just felt you were better off on there. I wasn't ready for a kid, so I kind of just left you there." And this poor kid, it makes you feel a lot more sympathy for Billy, because you're like, this kid has been spending his whole life trying to find somebody who was under no circumstances was looking for him at all.
It's true, but let's think about that in another way. Billy, how old was he in that scene?
15. What the scene where he was
a kid.
4 or 5?
No, he was 5. He was 5. You're right.
So if she was 17, then she had him when she was 12.
Yeah.
I suppose that's true.
when you put it that way, yeah,
Now,
that's why I had a little more sympathy. It's like, oh, that's really rough.
Now when you put it that way.
Now here's the other thing too. Was technology that bad 10 years ago that the woman just disappeared even though she kept her name and had her ID? Yes. I just thought that part was kind of weird too.
Well, yeah. Plot convenience.
Yeah. Once again, we're nitpicking.
It is, but it's fun nitpicking.
Gosh, what else was there? The fact that, I mean, once again, I don't know the origins and the story, but in this they presented Billy as, well, you're it.
Mm-hmm.
As that he was the last choice we got. That was the only option, the last best option, I guess you could say.
There's been versions of it where that's been the case.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that kind of carried along the same at all.
I thought it was something to that point. I thought it was kind of interesting. So the phrase, "I opened my heart to you." Are you really? If you're the last chance, are you really opening your heart to him, or Or you just kind of
just saying, well, no one's left.
seems a little hollow, but so no, I mean for the most part though, the scene where he breaks into the check cashing store to lure the police there so he can use their computer. It was amusing. It was a little good way to start into the character. I thought that was nice. The
I thought it was funny. The cop just wanted his sandwich.
Yep. And when he rolled up at the house, should have never have taken my cheesesteak.
Did you save me fries?
Is that what he said?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm really the villain was not a complete idiot, which was kind of nice. I mean, he made some mistakes that all villains make, but he put 2 and 2 together pretty quick. Made smart moves in order to maintain his power. I mean, for the most part, he just got he just got let down by his power source. What's his only problem?
I enjoy the fact that he played on the fact that Billy's a kid.
Yeah.
He like, no, you're a kid. You're not gonna win this fight.
Yeah.
I don't know what the wizard saw in you because you're a child.
Yeah, and then, I mean, there were plenty of opportunities for him to hurt or do bad things to other people or to his, quote, family, the new family. But that never happened either.
No.
It was always threats of doing that. For as upfront and as angry and as I'll do really whatever I want-ish, he kind of was just a pushover in that sense.
Yeah.
You know what? I think that plays in the fact that, see, I got that because it plays in the fact that when he was a kid, he got treated like crap.
Yeah.
So I think deep down inside, he didn't want to do that to kids.
Kids,
Now, he didn't have a problem killing adults. He just felt like kids, I can just bully him and get what I want anyway.
Yeah.
Adults, he flat out killed them.
Yeah. I think that was a good nuance. Again, I guess that's the best word I can use to describe the plot in this film. Even though it's not perfect, it has nuance in places you just don't expect.
Yes.
So yeah, I really like. For the most part, I really like the writing with a few hiccups here and there, with the obviously all too neat conclusion at the end where I figure out what I need to do, and my son pointed out, it's like, how is it that each of the people that he bestowed power on just immediately grasp how to use one of their powers extremely well immediately, just like that?
And why do their suits fit so much better? Well, you know. So that I mean, that's a good question too. Why couldn't? It was convenient. That's why.
Exactly. It needed it. It's getting towards the end of the film. We got to finish that. But I mean, all in all, solid, just complete. Oh, okay. I got one more thing I got to say. The superhero tests. Those were fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, and really, it made so much sense within the grasp of the movie and how they present it and the kids and the age and all that stuff. So like, it made perfect sense. And in fact, they put them all on, like, uploaded them on
whatever that was.
Whatever it was, quote, YouTube, which wasn't YouTube.
Yeah.
That made perfect sense.
Yeah. I loved the part where he set him on fire. That was so good. Shoot him in the face.
That was my favorite part.
Oh, that was so much fun. All right. Okay, so I think that's all I've got. You got any final notes on the plot, Delvin?
No, I thought, like I said, even with the plot holes that were in the movie, I thought the fact that the movie had so much heart and character, it kind of made it enjoyable with those faults.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's fair. All right, so your final plot and writing score out of 20.
I'm going to go high on this one. 18.
Nice. What about you, Mr. Ricardo Montalban?
I'll say 16.
16 for you. All right, I'm giving that one a 17. I enjoyed it quite well. Again, we're kind of all grouping like a selection of pellets from a shotgun. This is the last spot where we can give any sort of little bonuses that you think that don't fall into the categories that we haven't noticed. You know, a point here, a point there, whatever. Any bonus things that you want to add, Mr. Cox?
I want to give some bonus points for end credits.
Yeah, the end credits were good.
In credits, I think not only end credits, the ending itself, in terms of how, not the ending, the conclusion, but the whole special character that came out at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was cool, and I like the way they did it because they left a door open for it. Like, even though you kind of feel like it was tacked on, it made sense for that character.
They're smart not to show the face.
Especially with everything that happened now.
Yeah.
When I saw, okay, you're talking like the end ones with the Superman. Like, that was funny. But when I initially had seen, they were showing the cave and they passed the little tiny case with the caterpillar. I was like, no.
That's nothing.
That's like, I didn't know. I was like, they're not doing that guy. And then they get to the end and they showed Mr. Mine. I was like, awesome. This is cool. I don't know much about that character. I don't know much about his history, but he is like one of his oldest enemies, and it's a caterpillar type thing. That is so cool that they're actually going to delve into that character and hopefully do more with him. Because it's just him and then Dr. Savannah and Black Adam and hopefully some other randoms that they have like a superhero team up with. So definitely points for that. But I need to know what my score is.
You need to know what your score is?
I need to know what my score is so that I can
He's such a cheater. He always does this.
That way I know whether to give her at 1 point or maybe 2 points.
You're currently at 75.
Ooh, I think 1 is fair.
1 is fair.
Yes.
Does this all the time. Yes, well, I've got no bonus points one way or the other. I mean, I think I included everything that really favored it into my main point score, and there's nothing. Even with the end credits, they were fun, but it's nothing that really jumped out at me there. But all right, well, let's see what that brings us all to. So, as we all know now already, Richard is at 76. We got Delvin here at 20, 30, 49, 53, 66, 77. And then we've got me at 83. I apparently like this a lot more.
Oh, dang, I guess so. So we gave it solid C's, Delvin and I, and then you gave it a B.
It just squeaked in.
D minus, yeah.
But, not too bad, not too bad.
I mean, that made sense. You said it was, that means it was better than Aquaman,
yes.
Right?
Yes, I like this much better than I liked Aquaman. Talking about plot holes, that one had a lot more plot holes than this one did.
Yes.
But, I think it was worth
I
watching.
think those scores made sense, yep.
Yeah.
Well, I also...
Considering, I think we got it kind of right because you guys gave Captain Marvel like 80, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I gave it a little lower than 80. I liked this better than I liked Captain Marvel.
I think I probably gave it about the same scores because, I thought that movie was just fine.
Yeah, I think
That sounds
I like
familiar.
Captain Marvel a tad bit better, but not much. It's almost in the same realm, which is fine.
And if you look at the scores, we kind of think of them as, it sounds silly, but if we're doing all these and they total 100, well, it's either A, B, C, D, or F, right? And having a score like a 76 or a 77 is better than passing.
Oh, yeah.
It's average or a little bit better than average for a movie score.
Yeah.
So 76, 77 is actually not bad for a score.
I gave Captain Marvel a 78. The next higher score that I've got is Black Panther, which I definitely like Black Panther better than I like Shazam. So I think it's about the right spot.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Well, thank you, Mr. Delvin Cox, for taking some time and talking with us about some movies or movie anyway. And
maybe a few other movies.
Maybe a few other movies here and there. I'm sure we should definitely get together and do this again once Avengers time comes around.
Yeah, definitely.
We probably each have to watch that movie 2 times before we do the review, though.
Just absorb it.
Maybe 3. I don't know.
Well, that's what we'll do. We'll all watch it once. We'll do the review while we're watching it at the theater the second time.
That'd be perfect.
I'm quite sure people will be very happy about that.
Well, fans, and a little worried about this CGI I'm seeing on the Hulk here. More to follow.
Take the microphones out to the other people. What do you think? Shut up! Sit down! It will be entertaining, I'm pretty sure. But normally, we will be probably putting a little bit of advertisement in the middle of our episodes, but I was having so much fun I completely forgot in the middle of this one. So I'm going to put it at the end. We just started up our own Patreon page so that people can support the Pudding Guys. We only have one level of support. We want to keep it simple. If you think that our show is fun and worthwhile, donate $1. $1 a month. Help us continue making this thing and being able to bring better and newer stuff to you. It's pretty easy. www.patreon.com/Pudding Guys.
Pudding Guys. Hey, no one else had it. Weird.
Yeah, that's very surprising. And of course,
Awesome.
you can find us on Twitter all the time. Yeah, Delvin and I are constantly talking on Twitter. Obviously, we are Real Pudding Guys on Twitter. And Delvin, you are
Delvin_Cox on Twitter.
That's right. And of course, you are on Stitcher on your podcast, was it?
SoundCloud, Stitcher, I'm everywhere.
He's everywhere. Okay. So, I mean, definitely take advantage of listening to Delvin. He had a really good series not too long ago that he had some really in-depth conversations about some sensitive topics, which I thought turned out quite nicely.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But until next time, we are your Pudding Guys and Delvin Cox, and we appreciate you coming to see us.